Greetings collectors and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video and welcome to episode 218 of Ask Boss Bounty. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, Monday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my best to answer them. So if you do have a question for next week's episode and you want to be featured in the video, then please leave those questions in the comment section of this video. Before we get started, I just want to say a few thank yous. First of all, to Scott Whitehouse for upgrading their membership from Wookiee Hunter to Trandoshan Warrior in Patreon. And a big thank you to Jeremy Kessler and Ithorian Lover, who have become members on YouTube, and also to Jared Cantor, who dropped a super thanks on last week's Ask Boss Bounty. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel as always. It means a great deal to me, so thank you. With all that being said, if you happen to enjoy this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and let's get into this. Creative Wolf 9512 says, hello BB, question for next week. How long do you think it will be until we see Baze Malbus and Bodhi Rook in the Vintage Collection? I'm very surprised we haven't had them yet, especially Baze, since we've already had Chirrut Imwe. You and me both, buddy. I really did think when we got Chirrut Imwe in the line that Baze Malbus would not be too far behind, but of course he is yet to show up in the Vintage Collection. I was trying to dig out my 5 POA version to have as part of today's setup for this video, but I couldn't find it. That shows you how much I care about that figure. It is pretty awful, especially the head sculpt, and you can only imagine how good a TVC version of Baze would be. So come on Hasbro, give us those Rogue One characters. How long will it be? Well, in all honesty, I really can't see that it'll be this year or next year. I think if you really want Baze in the line, then you're gonna have to start pushing for him in figure polls and online in comment sections. Keep going on about Baze Malbus if you want him in the line, and then hopefully by 2026 we might get him in the line. Channel member Mika Goodman says, another great video BB, question for next week. I love clone troopers and I want every commander from the films in TVC, like Bly for example. However, I do not think we need every named clone from the Clone Wars on card. For example, Kix, Hardcase and Tup would be great in some sort of carded multi-pack, whereas I believe the Shock Trooper would be fine on its own in the main line. Considering Hasbro just released the 501st and the 332nd Clone Troopers on card, do you think we will continue to see Clone Troopers take up mainline slots going forward? Thank you for everything you do for this community. Yep, I don't think there's any danger in that at all, basically. I can see them doing other Clone Troopers on card in the main line. They tend to be big sellers, army builders. You know, if Target and Walmart are going to continue to stock TVC, then they're going to want Clone Troopers on the pegs, in my opinion. So I'm pretty sure that we will be seeing more Clone Troopers on card, and you're right, I think with Kix, Hardcase and Tup and people like that, then yeah, they would be great in like one of those, you know, carded 4-packs, and then clones like this where you're just getting generic 501sts. Then of course you'd want one on card like they've already done, but also army builder packs. We had that army builder pack with the 2 white clones, the 332nd, and only one of these. I had to buy 3 packs to get 3 501st Clone Troopers, which is not good for me. I want more 501st because that's the sort of legion that I want to collect the most. 9Lando945 says, hey Tim, question for next week. The online community seems to strongly believe the HasLab being announced on May 4th will be the Mos Eisley Cantina. What are the major signs or indicators that people are pointing to that lead them to believe the HasLab will be the Cantina? Besides the 7-pack of modal nodes, I'm not seeing or recalling what else would support this claim. Curious to hear your thoughts. Yeah, so it's one of those things that sort of gathered pace a little bit in the community. I think there's been various mentions of it in various forums like Rebel Scum and things like that, and active people in the community often give clues if they're in the know with these things. So for example, our good buddy Jason replied with the word cheers to Mr. Stevie's post about the HasLab. Cheers is the name of a 80s sitcom. It's a bar, so people are putting sort of 2 and 2 together and hopefully coming up with 4. It will be quite funny if it isn't the HasLab, considering, you know, people like myself have done a lot of commentary about it potentially being the Cantina, because if it is the Cantina, you know, I've done videos on the figures that you might need for it, and, you know, just responding to rumors and things like that. You know, maybe we will all be blindsided completely and it ends up being, I don't know, the Marauder or something from the Bad Batch, and then the figures included are the Bad Batch crew to go along with the Hunter that we have there. maybe that will happen. Personally, I can't see it. I think, you know, the rumours that have been going around suggest that it is the Cantina. We haven't got long to wait. We're going to find out very soon. And, you know, fingers crossed it is whatever you want it to be. Alan Guggenheim says, hey BB, question for you. I know you love your TVC sail barge. Are you eyeing up the upcoming Lego UCS sail barge? I've got to say I'm not. I still think I might have somewhere the 2014 sail barge. Now I know that's more of a playset set, if you like, rather than a UCS set designed for adults that you're supposed to put on display. And although I'm pretty sure it'll be absolutely amazing, I just do not have space to display 2 sail barges in one collection room. And, you know, my sort of collection of choice is action figures, 3 3/4, TVC, and unfortunately I just don't have the room to display Lego anymore. I used to absolutely love Lego, I really did, and I still do. I still have lots of it, but in terms of being able to display it, it's just not practical anymore. Ithorian Lover says, hey BB, another commenter mentioned how great your channel and some other great ones are because some of us don't have in real life friends who are interested in collecting Star Wars figures. I completely agree and really enjoy the discussion your videos bring about. What are some other ways for people to get involved in the Star Wars collecting community? Well, of course, you've got Facebook groups, you've got other people's websites. My buddy Chris from Bantha Skull, his comment section on all of his posts is always full of people talking about TVC and things like that. And of course, I'm biased. I think my Discord channel that I offer as part of channel membership or Patreon supporters, people that have access to that, we have great conversations in there. It's always really busy. Loads of different things going on in there. So I am biased and I do think that's a great place to hang out. So I see you have just become a channel member, so be sure to check out the membership page on YouTube because you'll be receiving a link for that private Discord. Des T says, another great episode, Bossk. As always, question for next week. It's common knowledge that Hasbro reuse parts from different Star Wars figures, etc. But have they ever introduced bits from other lines? I'm thinking Marvel or Jurassic Park or even something else. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this. I mean, I don't think from my knowledge that TVC has ever done that, but I'm pretty sure the Black Series quite recently actually shared some parts between the Indiana Jones line and the Black Series, I think. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, it's somebody's legs or something that we used for a guy in a suit, I think, from Indiana Jones. I can't be certain because I don't really follow the Black Series, but that's something that I heard at the time that was done. So, but yeah, I think it's quite a sensible thing for them to do. It's all under one company. If there's something from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that can be used in the Black Series because they're the same scale, then why not? Collect says, great video again as always, Bossk. Hoping to see more figures of the past openings with little Bossk. My wife and I love hearing his excitement over some of the figures. Question for next week. With the Bad Batch ending, Tales of the Empire, and it being May the 4th week, along with the HasLab announcement, which do you think we'll see that Hasbro reveal? The Bad Batch squad, more Acolyte, Tales of the Empire character, another Beast, or a newly sculpted A New Hope hero? I doubt we will get them all, but I'm really hoping for at least one A New Hope hero and the Bad Batch revealed. So I'm pretty sure, and this is just me sort of guessing really, that the reveals for the May the 4th for TVC will be heavily about the HasLab. I don't really think we're going to get too much else revealed that's not to do with the HasLab. So obviously on May the 4th they're going to be revealing what the HasLab is, and then I'm hoping there'll be some other reveals that might sort of accompany it or go along with it, or, you know, I don't know, something that's going to really sort of enhance it basically, because I think they're going to want to really sort of push this HasLab. You never know, as I said in a previous question, if it's not the Cantina and it ends up being the Marauder, then, you know, you're going to get your wish there of the Bad Batch being revealed, because, you know, they're not going to give us a Marauder unless they give us the rest of the Bad Batch, because as I said, all we've got is this lone hunter figure there, which is a fantastic figure, it really is, but, you know, where are the rest of the Bad Batch? They can't release a Marauder without the Bad Batch, so, you know, that's why I don't personally think that the HasLab will be the Marauder, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we? So yeah, I just think in terms of what gets revealed, it'll all be closely linked to whatever the HasLab is. I don't really think we'll see too much else, you know, for example, that's coming out in 2024. I think they'll save that for other live streams. May the 4th is going to be pretty much all about the HasLab, in my opinion. The ZooBoy111 says, hey Tim, I'm mainly a Black Series collector but dabble in TVC. I have 17 figures with 5 more on pre-order. and I've been watching your videos for a while. Question for next week. Seeing your Millennium Falcon displayed on a guitar stand is a truly brilliant idea and got me thinking, how do you plan to display your Ghost? As a massive Rebels fan and easy backer for the HasLab, I have no idea how I plan to display that absolutely massive ship. Thanks for your videos, man, and keep up the good work. Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. At this moment in time, I've got absolutely no idea how I'm going to display it. Somebody asked me if I've ordered another guitar stand for the Ghost, but I'm not even sure if it'll fit, so I've got to wait until we get the ship in hand. But I'm thinking maybe I'm going to put it like on a tabletop and then set up some of the figures around it or whatever. I think we've got enough coming from Rebels and from the Ahsoka show to make a pretty decent display. Of course, we always want more. But yeah, that ship I might have like on a tabletop rather than on the guitar stand. But as I say, until I get it in hand, I really don't know. Charlie Howard 8166 says, hey BB, question for next week. Love your videos. Do you think we'll ever see Clone Commandos in TVC? And if we do you think we would see Delta Squad in TVC? So very, very quickly to answer it, I think we will at some point, because they are heavily featured in the Bad Batch, and every time I see them on screen, I really just think they look flipping awesome. So I would love them in TVC as well. But a question for you guys out there, and this has to do with the Black Series as well, because as we know, the Black Series do have Clone Commandos and they do have the Delta Squad. But what happened was with the Black Series is that they used the Hunter sculpt to make that figure. They basically repainted this figure here, the Hunter sculpt, and made the Clone Commando. So the question for you guys is, would you want TVC to make an all new Clone Commando to make it absolutely, you know, accurate? Or from a speed point of view, would you be happy with them repainting this guy or using some of the parts to make the Clone Commandos? I'm kind of thinking that maybe they got a bit of a backlash from the Black Series collectors, you know, for doing that. I think a lot of people that I saw weren't exactly too happy that they'd used that sculpt. It's not accurate to the Clone Commandos, and maybe that's why we haven't seen them yet in TVC, because it would be an easy one for them to do. That Hunter sculpt has obviously cost them a lot of money. They haven't used it since. It's a one and done figure at the moment. So, you know, I'm sure they're going to want to get your reuse out of it, but maybe they stalled on it because maybe they're thinking, you know, if we put that figure out in TVC, people are going to moan basically. If we're going to do a Clone Commando, we've got to do him properly. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about that. You know, would you kick off if they did that? Andrew Cook says, hey BB, that question about Luke's land speeder got me thinking. Luke's land speeder is the only car size speeder that we have in TVC, and there are so many others that we've seen in Star Wars. Which speeder car would you most like to see them make? And do you think any of them are likely to be released in TVC? I'd love to see the speeders from the chase at the beginning of Attack of the Clones, or a Naboo speeder from the Phantom Menace, or even a Jedi speeder from the Clone Wars. Yeah, I mean, the ones that you've mentioned there are definitely ones that I would happily take. I'd also like them to revisit the Swamp speeder. That would be a good one. And ones that aren't necessarily like car-like, but are classed as speeders, I think there's a ton that we still need. You know, I think they could redo Darth Maul's speeder. You've got Luthen's speeder from Andor. You have the Dooku speeder from Attack of the Clones. I'm using this very old one. You've got Cobb Vanth's speeder from The Mandalorian with that like sidecar thing. Absolutely awesome. Would love that in TVC as well. But in terms of speeders, yeah, the ones that you've mentioned, of course, there's the one from Solo, which we've only got in that sort of 5POA line. Not too sure how many people would want that from Solo, but I think it looked a pretty good speeder in terms of its design, so yeah, maybe that one as well. Owl8698 says, hey BB, love the videos. I'm new to the channel, so maybe this has been answered already. Question for next week. With the Knights of the Old Republic finally being confirmed, not cancelled, do you think we will finally get an updated Darth Malak? He really needs an update. So the way I look at this is that, you know, they've given us Darth Revan, and as far as I'm aware, they were very, very happy with the sales of this figure. I think it pretty much sold out everywhere. They got another reuse out of it with the Jedi version in that 2-pack, which I'm pretty sure sold pretty well as well. So I think, you know, figures from video games such as the Knights of the Old Republic are popular. We've had Darth Malak in the Black Series. I'm pretty sure that figure went down very well. A lot of people were very happy with that one in the Black Series. So all indications suggest that maybe we could get a Darth Malak in the Vintage Collection. At the end of the day, it's much easier for them to share digital sculpts and things like that and scale things down. It's a lot easier for them to do that. We've seen it with multiple figures in the Vintage Collection and the Black Series, you know, sharing those sort of digital sculpts. So yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think Hasbro learn lessons all the time, so they'll be looking at Revan saying, yep, that was a really popular figure, it did really well. Darth Malak did really well in the Black Series, and you know, there's 2 good reasons for them to try Darth Malak in the Vintage Collection. RT2D says, hi Boss, question for next week. There have been a few lines represented in the Vintage Collection in recent times, one of them being droids and another being Ewoks. If they were to do another, what would you like to see? My shout would be a Power of the Force line, which could repackage the Death Star gunner and maybe Han in carbonite, repainting the recent Endor bunker Han. What are your thoughts? Cheers. Yeah, definitely. I think the Power of the Force line is a natural thing for them to do in the Vintage Collection. Give us those coins as well. Having said that, if they were to do that, I wouldn't want them to just give us the repacks that we've already had, such as the Luke Stormtrooper and the Han in carbonite, and there's a few others that I can mention, but also give us the other ones that we need, like Simalu, the A-Wing pilot, EV9D9. There's a couple of Ewoks there as well in the last 17 that came out in the Power of the Force. So that's definitely something that I would like to see them do. And here's a question for you as well, talking about different card backs. As you've seen in the Black Series in the last couple of years, they've given them, like, you know, Power of the Force cards, actual Power of the Force from, you know, the 1997-98 line. They've given them Clone Wars cards and even the Phantom Menace cards as well. What would you think if TVC did that? Would that still count as TVC because it's not the classic racetrack design? Obviously the Droids card doesn't have the racetrack, the Ewoks cards doesn't, and they hark back to the Kenner days. How would you guys react if they were to do like a Phantom Menace line, for example? I'm not too sure about it. I'm interested to know your thoughts. Mulkiel says, hey BB, great video as usual. Question for next week. I love the 4-pack army builder figures, stormtroopers, rebel troops, etc. With the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace, do you think we'll get some sort of 4-pack? I'm thinking Naboo security guards or Naboo pilots would make a great army builder 4-pack. They would indeed, buddy, but in all honesty, I just don't think they will. It doesn't look like to me that they are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. Yeah, we really haven't got that much at all, have we? Black Series have got a couple of figures, but TVC, we've got nothing. You know, they're kind of celebrating the prequels, aren't they? So in that case, I think that any 4-pack that we will get for the remainder of this year will be more clones, personally. That's my personal opinion. I think possibly something to do with the new Phase 1 clone trooper that they've released. Maybe the Commanders, or maybe just 4 regular white Phase 1 clone troopers, because you see a lot of them in Attack of the Clones, so seems natural to me. Maybe they'll go down the same road as they did with the Phase 2 clone trooper, where the carded version has a removable helmet, but the 4-pack has swappable heads and helmets with more in-scale helmets. So that's kind of what I think they'll do with 4-packs going forward this year. Shannon Patrat says, thank you for another Sunday afternoon with Boss Bounty. Under the stress of so many deadlines, your show allows me a few moments to relax and share in the hobby we all love. Cheers, buddy. I appreciate that. He says, question for next week. I just received my TVC Phase 2 Clone Trooper 4-pack in the mail. Curiously, it came from Big Bad Toy Store, and the one I still have pre-ordered directly from Hasbro Pulse hasn't even shipped yet. I find it odd that I would receive it earlier from a separate retailer, as opposed to directly from the manufacturer. Your thoughts? Thanks again. So yeah, this is quite a common misconception about Hasbro Pulse. I think most people out there, and it's completely natural to think this because they share the same name, that Hasbro Pulse and Hasbro are actually the same thing. And in fact, Hasbro Pulse are almost like a completely different company. It's like their retail arm, basically. You know, Hasbro Incorporated is pretty much separate from Hasbro Pulse, and you know, they get shipments of stuff pretty much the same time as any other, you know, retailer in the country, certainly in the UK. Star Action Figures, In Demand Toys, whoever else, get them at exactly the same time as Hasbro Pulse. And I think in the States, as you've mentioned, the retailers over there actually get them before Hasbro Pulse. So even though they share the same name, Hasbro and Hasbro Pulse, I don't think we can class them as, like, you know, being direct from the manufacturer as such, if that makes sense. Dorfid or Daffid says, question, Mud Trooper, this figure is a pretty easy kit bash of the Brown Eyes Mayfield tank driver figure and maybe Andor Aldani. It's a new helmet and we'd want the rocker ankles added. So for the question, what if Hasbro made a 4-pack with 2 Mud Troopers, 1 tank driver and 1 Aldani random head? Make the pegs the same size. They could even forego heads underneath. Just 1 Mud Trooper with the head under so people could make the Han Solo until they release their own version. This would be an easy kit bash to the Mud Trooper, which we want, and provide the updated fixes required for the other two figures. Andor has a boots issue and both are missing rockers. Of course, I'd rather a tank driver commander from Rogue One, 2 and 2 4-pack, but these are all very similarly visually figures, and most of us army builders don't mind the wrong boots on 20 plus figures if the correct ones are on those at the front. Mate, I've got to disagree with that a little bit. I mean, of course, yeah, army builders, you can put some of the figures that are correct and then the rest of them behind, or even some 5POA ones behind, and maybe you won't notice. But for me, a figure like the Andor Aldani needed to be accurate from the start. It's the main character from the show. He's in Imperial disguise. You need to get the boots right. It's as simple as that. But yeah, all this talk about mud troopers made me want to get my only sort of custom that I've ever really attempted. And as you say, this is the body of the Din Djarin. And then I used the 5POA head from that 7-pack. I can't remember if it's the Han Solo one or not. I don't think it is. And I took the cape off as well and glued that on there. And it is awesome. I love it. And I would just like a 4-pack of these. You could do a 4-pack with 1 Han Solo. So you get 3 regulars and then the 1 Han Solo. That would be awesome. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there, except for the point about, you know, having figures behind that are inaccurate, because essentially, if you get one that is accurate, you have no need for 20 inaccurate that sit behind, if you get my drift. All right then, guys, that's it for this week's episode. I do apologise for it being late. It's one day late. I do apologise, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you leave your questions for next week's episode in the comment section below. And I'm sure there might be some questions about the HasLab once that's been revealed on the Saturday. But yeah, be sure to leave your questions in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members, as always, for supporting the channel. Thank you so much. And we shall see you on the next one.